Good evening. Welcome to the first episode of the Global Expanders. My name is Mike. I'm the head of partnerships at Avask. And from all of us here at Avask, I'd like to welcome you to the new series of the Global Expanders. Yes, that's right. It's the new series we're starting today. So thank you very much for joining us. And please, let's roll the credits. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Global Expanders. My name is Mike. I'm the head of partnerships here at Avask, and I'm delighted to be kickstarting the Global Expanders webinar series. We've got an action-packed first episode for you to take in, and it's all about product sourcing this week. I'd like to introduce my three fantastic guests. I have Sebastian Hartz from Signify. I have Megla Bardvaj from the India Sourcing Network, and of course, Susanna Bermudez from Manufacturer Suppliers. So, hi guys, it's great to see you all this evening.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, Mike.
Oh, it's
hey,
absolutely
Mike, thanks
pleasure.
a lot.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for our inaugural episode of the Global Expanders. So I just wanted to basically start today's episode, really, basically asking you for a small sort of elevator pitch about your businesses, just so that the viewers at home can sort of understand who you guys are and where you fit within the communities. So if we start with Sebastian, please.
I would have given the ladies, of course, the first go, but that's all good. But a big compliment to you as well. Global Expanders. What a fantastic name is that. I mean, I really, really like it, and that just fits Avask so much. I'll try to put it short. What we are doing is we are sourcing products. We're helping to find manufacturers all over the world, and we target to find as many proposals as useful as possible in order to make sure that you get the cheapest prices for your products.
Thank you. And Megla, hello. It's nice to see you again, and welcome back to the Global Expanders.
Thank you so much, Mike. And I have to say, I love your background there. That green wall looks awesome. Well done with that.
It's a lovely new one.
Cool. So I'm the co-founder of India Sourcing Network, and we help global importers, brands, Amazon sellers source products from India. And we also host sourcing trips to India, where we bring Amazon sellers to India to help them meet factories and learn all about sourcing from India. And we have also started a sourcing trip to Vietnam.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And obviously, last but certainly not least, Susanna, welcome to the Global Expanders.
Hi, Mike. And thanks for the opportunity, to give all your audience this amazing and much needed subject about sourcing that it's so needed right now, like I said. I'm the co-founder of Manufacturer Suppliers. We help not just e-commerce sellers, but also companies from all over the world to source their products in Latin America, specific in Mexico. We've been working the past probably 2 years with a lot of manufacturers in Mexico. And also we're helping now, like I said, companies to also establish part of their operations in Mexico to reduce their cost and to make it like easier for them without letting the entire operations in the hands of the manufacturer. So they partnership to make it happen and, to make a sustainable, supply chain for them and be ahead of the competitors.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. Thank you very much. So yes, today's webinar, it's all about product sourcing, as you can tell by the expert panel we've assembled in front of you all. So what I'm keen to basically understand is from a product sourcing point of view, what strategies do sellers need to be concerned with when product sourcing? Now, selfishly, when I'm thinking about this from a tax perspective, I'd be obviously very concerned with things like the new environmental legislation that's coming out, for example, EPR, and the fact that you now must be more able to responsibly source products bearing in the entire life cycle of the product, including its disposal. So from my point of view, I'm thinking about things like eco contributions and what the product needs to be made of and things like that. But keenly, this is not just going to be affecting Europe. It is at the moment in Europe, but going forward, the US will also be implementing such things. And by 2050, there's also an agreement with all countries to be carbon neutral by that year. So really, my whole question is I'll start with Sebastian again. Is how does this affect your sellers and the global product sourcing that you're and the advisory that you're giving?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really good question. I mean, EPR is becoming more and more important, of course. And I wrote it down there in the letters. I'm a brand owner myself, or actually two own brands. I'm selling since 2014 as well on Amazon, but also in the big box retail businesses throughout Germany and some of the other countries. And the EPR, of course, most of the time at the moment goes for France, Germany, Austria, into the facts of getting your packaging license. So all the trash that is being created by the end consumer packaging, but by now also since this year for the big master cartons, for the shipment cartons that we need to pay licenses, fees, registering the amounts of it every year for each of those countries. So another bigger step is, of course, when it comes to electronic products, not to destroy the environment, not to throw electronic trash in just normal household trash. You will have to have electronic registration and pay extra fees for getting your electronic trash, which later on it will be your product, or at least that's what the governments assume, that your products one day will go bad and will be thrown away, that you take care of having those products, of course, properly recycled and not just thrown out into the wild nature. Besides those things, of course, it makes sense to reduce the carbon footprint, produce more locally, use sustainable packaging, try to avoid packaging sizes, don't ship air. Doesn't matter where you send it from, unless it really gives such a huge upgrade to your product to make it appear more. I see some of the cosmetics brands out there who, product like this and packaging like that. May not always be the best choice. And when you come to packaging, some of them you could completely get rid of packaging. For some of them you can use eco-friendly ones, biodegradable products. But I think also Megla and Susanna will have some more ideas in there as well.
Absolutely. Megla, if I may, what from India's point of view, what have you seen changing throughout this year?
Yeah, in India, there's a lot of focus on producing eco-friendly products and packaging as well. But the most of the focus is on eco-friendly products and materials. There are a lot of companies that are innovating in terms of new materials, and there are materials that are made from cactus, for example, and these are sort of replacements to genuine leather or even other plastic kind of materials. And there are a lot of companies that are innovating with things like banana peels and coconut husks. So there's a lot of innovation. Of course, a lot of these materials are still niche and they're more expensive, and maybe they're not mass produced, but that's the direction that we see industry going in. And once there's more R&D done, once they come up with ways to mass produce these materials competitively, there will be more adoption. But that is a trend that we're really seeing. In terms of packaging, a lot of suppliers are going for plastic-free packaging. So if you're sourcing, for example, wooden products or metal, they generally don't, pack them in plastic. They'll use either paper, or there's a very interesting material that is made out of cardboard, very thin cardboard, and it sort of is like bubble wrap, but made of cardboard. So that's a very interesting, unique material that is currently being used in India as well. In fact, we have a family business of toys, and we have our own factory. We produce toys that are made from natural rubber. Again, very biodegradable. And we were recently exhibiting at the Nuremberg Toy Fair in Germany, and there was really good response, for those toys, because a lot of buyers importers are actually looking for eco-friendly products, because there are consumers, the consumers are actually looking for eco-friendly products.
Thank you so much for those insights. And Susanna, how about Mexico and the Latin American region?
Yeah, well, I will say it's the same thing. It's been a lot of innovation, from the manufacturers to create packaging, and also the product like the straws, that comes from the seeds of the avocado or from cornstarch. There's a bunch of products that are compostable, and I want to mention something that some people confuse compostable and biodegradable. Like, everything is biodegradable. The difference is the time that it takes to biodegrade. But so that's why now they're like implementing more technologies with biopolymeters to create the same products that used to be plastic. And like Mekla said, with like coconut and cactus, and also the plant of the tequila. They're using that to make like tables and other type of stuff, like trash cans that it used to be made, like also like for the food industry, like the packaging for the food and all that. It's been growing in Latin America, mostly in Mexico. Like, I've been working with a lot of manufacturers that can mass produce this type of products for some of the states that are right now in the United States are more oriented to this type of products, because they have legislation that doesn't allow like plastic or one single use plastic.
Okay,
Can I
perfect.
raise my hand, Mike?
Yes, go for it.
Just wanted to give another thought, because many people always see the EPR, always see the additional packaging requirements as sometimes a big challenge, getting rid, of plastic, getting rid of more and more waste. But sometimes it is awesome to challenge yourselves. I just earlier gave the small example. When you challenge yourself also to reduce the size of volume, and I gave the example earlier, one of my brands, we have a product box like this, and it was already 250 products inside a small box, 250 sellable units in Amazon. And we went even a step further and reduced the packaging design to that we have the same box right now, not 250, but 3,200 units in there. And if I stuff more in there, I'll probably get 4,000 in there. Yes, it's very small products, but the huge advantage, of course, I mean, the shipping costs will go down, the shipping time may go down because you don't need full containers, you have a lot less in there. You really don't, as I shouldn't say that, but you don't care about air shipping costs because it's so many units, you just ship them over. You have less storage, you have all of that less. You have less Amazon FBA fees. You put this in the smallest envelope. I took one of the bags that I have in there, has 200 units in there, and I put it in the scale because I needed to put everything out there for measuring the FBA fees again, and 200 units weighed 300 grams. That's for the US, it's about, how much is that, like 10 ounces or 12 ounces, some 11 ounces. So imagine all the positive effect that also come with thinking about how to make this more sustainable. Plus, if you ever want to bring this into retail, you show them those things, and the retail will be so happy, of course, also to have less storage, less products, and something very nice that you can hang in the store and catches attention. So challenge yourself and see this as an opportunity also to grow.
So I'm just absolutely blown away by that product, the amount of space you've saved in that one box. That's amazing. So that's that. I mean, EPR is just exactly one example of where manufacturers and suppliers they're looking to make real savings for themselves. What other, bearing that in mind, that's just maybe perhaps one of the things that they're looking out to. What else do e-commerce sellers need to be looking out for in 2023 when selling? And I'll head back to Megla for this one, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the trends that we're really seeing in 2022 and it's sort of carrying forward to 2023 is diversification. Whether it's diversification in terms of your sourcing, whether it's your selling channels, marketplaces, a lot of sellers are in fact looking to diversify to retail, to physical in-store retail. There was this one seller that I recently met. They started their brand in 2016, and now they've got their retail ready packaging, and they were exhibiting at a trade show. So there's a lot of concern about putting all your eggs in one basket. And we're seeing a lot of Amazon sellers looking to different markets for sourcing their products, whether it's India, Mexico, Vietnam. Almost every week we'll get somebody or the other who says, I don't want to source from China. Is there any way I can source from India or any other country? I think there's, that's one sort of common theme that we're seeing in 2022. It's sort of continuing in 2023 as well. And another thing is that, this year there's sort of the economic slowdown that is happening around the world. And that's going to be a concern throughout the year that sellers should be prepared for. Q4 overall sales were down year on year. There's a lot of inventory in retail stores, and overall sales are slowing down a little bit. So that's something that people need to be aware of and prepare for.
Absolutely, that's fantastic insights there, Ram. And I think the economic slowdown is actually on a lot of people's minds, because that whole effect, it affects things like profitability. It affects on whether or not you're going to be able to afford to resupply and replenish. And yes, diversification is a pure way. Diversification in general is a pure way of making sure that you're building a more resilient and successful business. I think that's a very excellent point. Thank you, Megla. Susanna, what about from your perspective? What trends and what do e-commerce sellers need to be looking out for in 2023?
Well, I think that they need to look more for the opportunity if they want to grow their brands, or or sustain their business. Also, like Megla said, diversified, because sometimes people are too afraid. They want to get out of China. Yes, I get that every day, but they don't take the next step to get out of China. And like I said, okay, maybe go to India, maybe go to Mexico, maybe go even to the United States to do it, or other countries, but at least take, I don't know, a percentage of your products or part of your product and start manufacturing that as a plan B. Go ahead of your competitors. Take that next step that is needed if you really want to stay in the market. And because we know that not every seller is going to take that step, and what I've been seeing is that the sellers that really, or the companies that, or brands that really want to, perform and be there for their clients and not getting out of stock and all that, are taking this, I will not say risky. I think the biggest risk is not to take this opportunity to start doing something. But like I mentioned, it's like they've been more present in Mexico. You need to be there, and probably Sebastian that is there right now. You need your presence there, or the presence of an expert to take you by the hand, to make you see the big opportunities. Again, also to partnership with the suppliers, with the manufacturers. I don't see in China that this big opportunity for the majority of the people to partner up with your manufacturer. So I will say that's a huge thing that sellers must be looking for. How can I get there? How can I partnership with them to make my supply chain very, very strong? And even they can ask at your warehouse. How crazy is that in cities like Monterrey, they are 2 hours away from the border with the United States. So you don't have to order 3 months of stock. You can go month by month, and they can be your storage. So then you will reduce fees. You will reduce, many things that are not possible right now, and are not going to be possible in China, right? So I think that's what they have to be looking for in this 2023 and the years that are coming.
Yeah, now that's a very, very good point, actually, because obviously to get those economies of scale with the likes of China, you have to be ordering in bulk, and because of the sea freight costs and all of those shipping costs, and then the costs of clearing goods added onto that. And Absolutely fantastic point there. I think you've made. That's great. Sebastian, what about you from your perspective, please?
I think it's just really good what the ladies here right now said, and I'll show you one of the reasons or one of the things that you could actually do. Like Susanna, you said, get out of the zone, get out and do something. That is one of the reasons why I have such an ugly wall right now behind me. By the way, I don't know if Mike's sitting in the video also here on top of me, but
Yeah.
did you guys know that this is a live wall? What they have? Those are real plants. That's not plastic. So this is not contributing to plastic trash, but it's an alive wall that I've asked. It looks fantastic. But one of the things, just like Susanna said it, watch, something's coming. Go on trips. We're partnering here with the Mexico trip. We're somewhat the guides to the factories. We're also going in future sourcing trips as well. Megla is holding some India sourcing trips, Vietnam trips. We'll hold our own trips, or we'll be some guides and wingmen and wingwomen on the side to lead through the factories. Go out there, explore things. I mean, I'm not saying do not source from China. We still do massive amounts of sourcing for China for once our own brands as well for the first brand, but also for our customers. But we had used to be 10% of the projects used to be outside of China. Now we have about 50% of the projects are sourcing outside of China. China grew massively, but the rest of the world just overtook it. So yes, go out there, go visit trips with whomever, go to trade shows, find something out, or you can of course also start doing this all online. You don't necessarily need to go to trips. Many times I see this as, getting ideas, but then of course compare the prices. But two other things also to watch out for, not only to get out and become active and explore other areas, is with the reducing purchases, with the inflation and less purchases happening, I personally don't see it as that critical. And I think most of us as sellers should probably not see it as that critical, because we're usually the small fish in a pond. Yes, the purchasing costs or the willing to purchase product goes back, but the market is so huge. And what we're doing at the moment, all of us sellers, is we're trying to capture, market share. And we're by far nowhere there where we should say, hey, the reduction of it would influence us and our business so much. That's just not to look at that. Let's think about how can we capture more market share? How can we be better than our competitors? It doesn't matter it goes down. The market is still huge. So focus on just being better than your competitors. And one of the things I see, my first brand, very much commodity product, very much, I think I had 63 direct competitors for one product. And what's happening? Boom, 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 boom. It's just a race to the bottom by the price. If you have very comparable products, it's just going to be a race to the bottom. So I wish everybody start thinking, please, of premium products. We have tons of examples where people sell a very basic commodity product, but make it something better with the packaging around and set yourself far off from the price of your competitors. Over deliver value, bring them more, follow-ups. Do not necessarily ask for reviews. Don't push them as oh, can you share with me? And oh, here's money back. And deliver quality, deliver service, bring premium products. And when you have premium products, you have more money that you get through the revenue that you can actually then spend on advertising and be number one. This will not be possible when you follow the race to the bottom. My first brand is a race to the bottom. I'm developing some more products that will be more premium, but a second brand, skincare, high class, I'm not going against Nivea or L'Oreal prices. I'm going against the big animals. So there's so much competition in the market right now that it is tougher and tougher to focus on products that will really still be profitable, which everybody can do. So we have a lot of customers actually who come to us and say, Julia, Sebastian, do me a favor, get me products which have the most certificates needed. I wanted to have it as competitive or as difficult for my competitors to enter the market. And I think this is one of the things that will set you apart from all the other 10,000s and 100,000s of Amazon sellers who just, get the next Me Too product.
Absolutely, and I think I totally agree with the whole race to the bottom ethos. You see, there's only one thing that's going to come out of that is everyone's just going to go bankrupt because they can't afford to offer the products at such low prices. I think, totally. I love the idea of having putting premium products out in the market, and you see all the TikTok videos and all of those sorts of wonderful pieces of social media content where people are actually showing examples of real people packaging their own products up and fulfilling their own orders and doing things like that. And that those sorts of things, I think they do lend themselves to our insatiable need as human beings to connect with people and see with people. And I think that's a very important thing, is to think about the end consumer and to think about the people who are involved with that. No, totally get that. I suppose my next question is, considering what they need to be looking out for, are there any additional trends and forecasts that are currently going on in the industry? Who would like to go first on this one?
Well, I have one.
Oh, Maitland. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just started this. So I think a lot of e-commerce sellers are focusing on, building their brand. And I totally agree with Sebastian. You've got to have premium products, high quality products where the margins are higher. And if you have low price products, high volume, you're really competing with a lot of Chinese manufacturers, on Amazon, who are selling directly. They're making products in their factories, and it's going to be very hard for you to compete with manufacturers directly, right? They'll have great prices. So a lot of sellers are building their brands, and that's something that they have to continue to focus on in 2023 in order to stand out from the competition and in order to be able to offer premium prices or get premium prices for their products. So developing your brand, and it's both on and off Amazon. It doesn't have to be only on Amazon. So you've got to have your social media presence and your TikTok and a lot of influencer marketing. That's something that's really increasing as well. And of course, when you have your brand, then you've got to focus on quality, because you can't have a bad quality product that really affects your brand image. And that again comes back to sourcing. So you've got to have your supply chain in order, inspections, or get a good sourcing agent to help you on the ground. Go visit your factories, just entrench yourself in the supply chain and, build that brand. I think that's a key trend that I'm seeing.
Lovely. Thank you. And Susanna, you wanted to...
Yeah, and I will say something that I've been seeing. We did an event in Monterrey last October that it was called Discover Mexico Sourcing. And one of the things that we realized with the sellers, it was a group of Australian sellers that went to, I took them to Monterrey to the sourcing trip. They were like impressed by how they can also introduce their products into Latin America. And that's very much needed. I think like right now, if you go to any platform in Latin America, some of the products are going to say international purchase. So it will take like 1 week or maybe a little bit more, right? And we know customers don't want to wait. So the interesting thing is that they discover that this is a huge opportunity, not just to manufacture in Mexico, but also to start selling in Mexico and take advantage of a huge also market that is untapped, and that is really interesting how it's evolving. Because again, we love products from other places, right? We as I don't know if that's a part of the world, but in Latin America, we love products that are made in some other countries, right? But so it's amazing how the acceptance of the people, for example, in Mexico, for the products that are made in other countries, even in the United States or Europe or India or whatever, right? So they discover that this is a great opportunity to start bringing their products, even if they're not manufacturing right now, bringing their products into Latin American countries. So we've been helping also our customers to do that, to enter the right way the Mexican market and be ahead again of your competitors, not just in Mexico, but also in other countries, because they are not taking that, as a big step.
Thank
Very
you
well
so much.
said.
I think so, yeah. Absolutely, very well said. I think there are fantastic examples where uniquely, distinctly British products, for example, are extremely popular. For example, over in China, and it's the most amazing thing where people have wants for those genuine, high quality products from different areas that they can't necessarily get their hands on locally. I think that's a very, very, very good point. Sorry, Sebastian.
I would just add something. A strategy that a lot of sellers are using is they don't put made in Mexico or made in USA. They put made in the Americas or made in America. And Mexico is part of America. Guatemala is part of America. Costa Rica is part of America. So they're just putting made in America, and that makes it like huge. It's huge now for our customers that when they put in the label or in the product made in America. So that's a hack.
Okay, anywhere over there, made in America. That's a great hack. Thank you so much. Sebastian, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I mean, that was a very good idea in there as well. I wasn't sure about, we'll hopefully see that the Americas will always be accepted by all the countries. But for example, when you produce in China, one of the things, of course, it's becoming more and more, and who knows what is the abbreviation of China, the very official one. It's PRC, the People's Republic of China. So many of the end consumers, of course, don't know that. So when you're producing a product in China, well, put it in there, made in PRC, and everybody thinks like, oh, it's not China, great. Well, it is. But that's also one of those hacks, of course, that comes through. The things that I see, on the other hand, also developing more and more and more, and it becomes more and more important, especially when you have successful products. Please think of resourcing the product as well. It means you take your best sellers as well and look into sourcing it again in order to reduce the cost. And we're doing so much cost reduction for so many of the sellers simply by taking the product and saying, okay, we hardcore go in and find suppliers for the same or better quality and make sure that we get the cost reduction in. With all of those things, especially when you have established a business where you know you have a product selling already, there's so much more money. And just imagine you're saving whatever 12% of $100,000 offer in a year, or order in a year, you get like $1,000 more a month in order to spend into marketing, into new products, into better images, into whatsoever. You can save so much money on resourcing your products as well. The other trends, of course, going besides that is that you can bring your products also into the other platforms. When you're selling in the US, for example, I mean, go for Walmart. Walmart is one of the toughest one in there as well. They're growing just super strongly, and of course, trying to go against Amazon. And if you need connections there, I'm more than happy to make some introductions and show you who can help getting into those platforms. And or in Europe, throughout UK, throughout Europe, we'll have all of the other platforms as well, where you can still sell your products. And they're all, even the aggregators bringing you, not the FBA aggregators, but the platform aggregators bringing you into all the different platforms in there. And one of the other things as well, external traffic. Like we say, you see the social media coming up everywhere. You have the TikTok, you have Instagram, you have YouTube Shorts, you have WhatsApp status. I'm using my WhatsApp status sometimes, just to push my products out there. And you can do so much of that. Also here, if you want to, we have the connection to comparison pages, SEO pages, other external traffic, people who can help with that. So start looking around the other additional services besides just the sourcing. Help with all the other connections, and there's tons of it out there, because once you have a product in your hand, you didn't win anything. You just have a product. Then you need to start scaling all of the sales and all of the marketing. And there's so much out there. There's so many great solutions that you can hear from like the best speakers in the world. And they give you like a one-on-one guideline of what you can do in order, for example, to one of the strategies I want to now track is tracking my influencer on how his pixel will refer on his followers, and then I'm taking this data and building my own lookalike audience out of it. So fantastic strategies out there. Listen out to them. There's so much developing.
Fantastic tips there. I think that actually links directly into our next topic to discuss, and that is the best tips for sourcing products and the best tips for making sure your products get out there. So, guys, please do chime in. Let's go to perhaps Susanna first. What are your best tips for sourcing products at the moment?
Well, for sourcing products in Mexico, I will say people need to be very patient because sourcing in Mexico is like in Pampers. And I'm not saying like for the big companies. The big companies, they know what they're doing, you know, big manufacturers. But in terms of, you know, there's a new, I put it this way, there's a new era of also in Mexico, the majority of the companies are family owned, right? So it is kind of different like in other countries. Um, so there's a new era of the sons of, you know, of the owners that are taking the companies, and they start running the companies. So I think that that's a great way because they see e-commerce more, they're more related to e-commerce, right? They are e-commerce buyers, so they understand more, and that's what we've been trying to do for the past almost 3 years, educating the manufacturers to be able to serve, you know, all these sellers and all these companies across the globe, to be able to do this. So I will say that if you want to, you know, source your products from Mexico, um, one, get in touch with us, or also, you know, go to Mexico, try to, you know, speak with people. We also have events that are very private events. But anyway, I think there's a lot of trade shows that are in Mexico. Not shows that will have, like, you know, all the categories like in India or like in China, but for big manufacturers, they have like for furniture or for, you know, plastic. So you can look those on online, and you can see and get in touch with these manufacturers to be able um to, you know, just be ahead of the game, and try to at least start. That's why I tell my client, like, at least start. You know, I'm not trying to convince anyone to get out of China or do whatever. It's just diversification. Try to, there's some products that you can replicate in Mexico. There is some that you can't. But we're working on doing our best with the manufacturers, even if we have to import stuff from China, like the raw materials or different components. But we are assembling a lot of products in Mexico. And we've been helping a lot of sellers to do that. So just take the chance to do it, and to at least see if your product is a good fit for Mexico or not.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Susanna. That content was absolutely great. Megla, how about India, and what would you recommend? What are your best tips for sourcing products this year?
I think one of the tips that I have is, keep in mind when you are moving from China to another alternate sourcing destination, remember that India is not China, Vietnam is not China, Mexico is not China. Things work differently in these countries. I mean, like Suzanne was just saying, a lot of the factories in Mexico are family owned. It's exactly the same in India. Most of the companies that we work with, small, mid-sized companies, or even the larger ones to some extent, are family owned, and relationships are really, really important in such businesses, right? And so it's really important to go meet with the company and have that face-to-face interaction. They will really treat you better. They will give you priority treatment. They'll give you better terms. So building that relationship with your manufacturers is really important in India specifically. And another thing is that, as Sebastian was saying earlier, cutting costs. I think there's a saying in the industry that you can really make profit in building a brand by by sourcing the right way. So sourcing is where actually you can be profitable. And so I think, looking at different ways of, for example, reducing the packaging, or optimizing your materials, or optimizing the design so that you're saving on some costs, that is going to be very important. Also, negotiating better with your suppliers, whether Mexico, India, specifically in India, everything is negotiable, right? You talk to the supplier. Once you place the first order, you build some trust, you pay them on time. They know that you're a well-established buyer and you have a long-term vision for the brand. They are willing to work with you. Whether you want payment terms, that's something very important. I don't see a lot of Amazon sellers asking for payment terms from their suppliers, and this is something that suppliers do for retailers all the time. Like well-established big retailers ask for payment terms. So that is something that Amazon sellers should consider. But of course, they won't give you terms on the first order, but once you've placed a couple of orders, then try to negotiate on the payment terms, with them as well. So negotiate on different things. I mean, not only payment terms is one aspect, but there's so many other things that you can negotiate in order to save costs. So build a relationship, negotiate, try to cut costs wherever possible.
Absolutely fantastic, sterling advice there. That's absolutely amazing. I think that's brilliant. And yes, you do. You see in business all the time, people usually trade on 30 days, 60 days, or 90-day payment terms. Why would you not with your suppliers as well? If you're sourcing Amazon products, yeah, totally agree with that. I think that's a wonderful tip. Thank you, Megla. And Sebastian, how about you?
Yep, great content, ladies. Absolutely. The three things that I bring in is when you look at China really understood how to do sales. They give service. I usually say they answer day and night. They answer Sundays. They answer Chinese New Year. They answer round the clock. They show I'm there. I want to sell, because of course they're very hungry as well in terms of getting a commission on every sale. So like I always say, the quality of the answer is a different topic, but the Chinese, they say, look, I'm there. I want to sell. I help you. I give you all the service. This is not necessarily the way it is in the rest of the world. So we do the sourcing in every country of the world, maybe not North Korea, but the thing is really bring patience. They're not as trained yet, or maybe don't even have dedicated sales teams. Their factories producing, they didn't yet grow to a level of China to say, it's like, look, we have people here, we're ready on the telephone line waiting for your email or your telephone or your calls and call you back. So you may need to contact them 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, sometimes 7 times in order to get a proposal. So all you have to do on the other hand is bring patience and bring belief, because you can produce a lot of products, of course, outside of China as well. Now, the second thing to do is get as many proposals as possible. You don't want 2 or 3 proposals, because then you don't know the market price. Target, if you do it on your own, if you do it with somebody else, target to get as many proposals as possible. And when you have them, then you have a feeling for the market price, and then you can start negotiating the payment terms, MOQs. MOQs are always negotiable. I mean, if they tell you MOQ 5,000, just don't believe it. Cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half, and then we start talking. And at the same time, when you have as many proposals as possible, it doesn't matter if it's in China, same thing, do it there, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in who knows where, Eastern Europe, do quality control. And not only on the samples, of course you will check the samples, but do quality control. If you want to, in the beginning, during, at the end of the production, before shipment, doesn't matter when and where. I mean, of course, don't do the payment before you've done the quality control. If you need help, let others know. I'm quite sure all of us can probably help with quality control. Just do it. Just please do it. And I think those are the 3 things that I'd like to add.
That's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Sebastian. That's great. I think it's been absolutely great tips for product sourcing there. So the one question I've also got now then is, what country should you be looking to when you're looking to source your products in 2023? And I know that's probably going to be dependent on which products you're trying to be, what products you're trying to be selling. But so from your perspectives, what country should you be looking to buy source products from in 2023? Do we want to go back to Megla for this one?
Yeah, I think it really depends on your product, like you said. And a lot of products cannot be made in any other country out of China. So for example, if it's something electronics, typically you get great prices, good variety, and the supply chains in China are so well developed for electronics. So currently I do not see another option center anywhere in the world that can do electronics like China does. So if you do and have any sort of electronics products, I think China would be your best bet. There are, of course, larger companies that have set up factories in Thailand and Vietnam, but we're not seeing a lot of them, mid-sized sort of factories being set up in other countries outside of China. In India, electronics production is growing really fast. Exports are growing really fast, but then again, the factories are being set up by Foxconn or Samsung or all of these bigger brands. And I think over time, what will happen is that the supply chain will develop, and there'll be more, small and mid-sized companies in electronics sort of develop. But as of now, electronics is for sure China, Taiwan, South Korea as well. But then it really depends on your product. If your product is made of wood, metal, if you want a more premium home good item, then India is the place to go for that. If you're looking for things like footwear or furniture or sportswear or any other type of apparel, specifically in larger quantities, then Vietnam is the place to go. There are a lot of large factories over there, but their MOQs tend to be a bit high. If you go there with like 500 pieces, they might not even respond to your emails. And whereas India, they typically like to do smaller orders as well. So that's something to consider. And of course, Mexico, there's different product categories. So really think about what your product is, and then talk to experts like Sebastian and Susanna and find out if it is competitively sourced in that country.
Thank you so much. Absolutely great, great content there again. Susanna, what about you? Which products do you think should be sourced where?
Well, like Mekla says, it depends on the product. But what I've been seeing more, and I think it's been a trend topic for the past 2 weeks, or at least that's what I've been seeing, is also a lot of Chinese companies are opening their facilities in Mexico. So that's a huge thing that in some part is good and then it's not that good. Because maybe that will put many Mexican companies out of business if they don't start to modernize or do whatever it takes to take all the clients that they can before this happens, right? But what I've been seeing is that there is a lot of contract manufacturers that can make possible pretty much any product. Why I'm saying this, because in terms of electronics, I know I always want to stay away from electronics, but I want to say that, for example, Brazil, it's very good at electronics. So Brazil and Mexico are sharing some of the raw materials and some parts, and they end the process in Mexico. Or same thing with China. For appliances, for example, they bring the motors from China to Mexico, and they assembly and do the rest, the cable, the structure and everything in Mexico. So I think from our perspective in manufacturer suppliers, we like to first take a look of the product and check with the network of manufacturers that we have to see if it's possible or not. Maybe they're not producing that right now in Mexico, and that's totally fine. But then that will give the seller the opportunity to partner up with them and make it happen. Sometimes it's a matter of investment of a one machine, and we're getting that case a lot. Sometimes it's a matter of, if you want to keep your brand going, then you have to invest in Mexico $100,000, for example, and just to buy a machine, and they can the contract manufacturer in Mexico can do the product for you. So it's a matter of, again, just open your mind. I love go for the yes all the time. No, I can't. No, I can't. That's very common. And one particular thing about Mexicans is that they never say no. They don't say when, but they don't say no. So it's also a matter of manage the expectation. But I truly believe that there is a lot of, like this guys mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities outside of China, even if the product is not manufactured yet. There is some products that I've seen that are not manufactured, and there is some great sellers that are willing to invest because they've been selling the product for many years and they don't want to lose, their customers. So it's just take the chance and check if it's possible, and let's go for the yes. That's my advice. Go for the yes and explore the options.
Absolutely fantastic. Love that advice there. Thank you so much. And Sebastian, from your side, please.
I try to give you a few examples of what can actually be produced in any of the countries. But what you can very often see is before my life in e-commerce, I was I'm an electrical engineer by university, a degree, and I spent 12 years with a world market leader in industrial automation. So electronics is kind of my, well, it's I'm still somewhat attached to it. And but for there back then we could already see. I used to live in China, I used to live in Singapore, and how the countries around there developed. China is, of course, looking for another China for China, so a workbench for China, and they invested a lot of money, of course, into the African continent. Now they're pouring, of course, hundreds of millions for some of the factories also into the Mexico area as well. Back then, what you have seen already in 2013, 14, I came out of the oil and gas and chemical industries, and you've seen a lot of it was, of course, going to Vietnam already, being a lot constructed there. More and more also going to Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and so on. And the way how a country is set up with its infrastructure, you can very often detect, all right, are they very basics? Then they most likely would produce something, steel, cement, glass, and anything. And if it's a developed economy, you would see higher class products or more premium products that are also for people who create or who have a higher standard of living. Now, if we go, for example, like glass, what we could see now in Europe, for example, we'd have like Poland, Italy, Turkey, Germany would be in there, some cosmetics, Germany, Italy, Poland, South Korea, of course, Turkey as well. If you go for fabric and textiles, it could be Spain, Portugal, it could be India, of course, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Turkey, and there's so many other countries around there. But the same as the ladies just said is, if we look at the base of the product, what is it made out of? And I give you one example. We're looking into furnitures that were made out of wall pipes, what do you call them, like the water pipes that, for example, go into the walls. So you would not necessarily think of a furniture manufacturer, but you will think of, hey, where do I get the steel pipes, the fittings, the edges, and all of those things around? And when it gets to metal, it could be Turkey, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. It could be many other countries there as well. And look from the perspective of what the product is made out of, and then you see which countries can produce it. And this is also the way we go with the sourcing. Look at the base of the product and then decide where to go. Foods, supplements, of course, US. You can do many of that in Mexico as well. We visited here in Mexico a plastics factory, a cleaning utensils factory. You see electronics also building up actually in Mexico more and more, but of course not to the size of a Foxconn in China. But countries are developing, and the more they're developing, the more they're able of producing goods.
Thank you so much. That's absolutely wonderful. Well, we're coming up on time actually, so it's we're just into our final 8 minutes. So I'd like to basically just ask you all then for your quick final thoughts for today. So if each of you could just give me your final thoughts of the day, maybe your top tip that you'd like to leave everyone with. And yes, we'll be going on with that very soon. But I wanted to say also thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. It's been absolutely wonderful hosting you all, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. So not next week, but the week after, where we'll be talking to a company called Gatida, and we'll be talking about expanding your business overseas into the European Union or cross borders, more precisely. So anyway, guys, so before we leave you, Megla, what are your final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts, just get out there, get out of your comfort zone and go explore different alternate sourcing destinations for your product. I think a lot of times people are just so comfortable with China, and they don't want to go explore different countries. And, just like Susanna was also saying, people don't want to start, right? But the thing is that there is a lot of risk in the supply chain with everything that's ongoing currently, with what we've seen, the last 3 years with COVID, all of the supply chain disruptions that happened. There are geopolitical issues, and the whole supply chain is just so unpredictable at times. So it's really important to have a backup plan. And now is the right time to start looking at different countries and diversify your sourcing.
Wonderful ideas, wonderful advice there, Megla. Thank you so much. I think that's amazing. Susanna, how about you?
Well, I would say same thing, just diversify. And I know sometimes we go to other colleagues or other people, other sellers, and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Oh no, I had this bad experience, or I had this." Remember that we're not sourcing the same products, so don't just listen to whatever. I mean, don't pay attention to whatever you listen. You just go ahead, because that's part of the comfort zone, and that's when the sellers get frustrated. So I think go yourself or hire someone to do this for you, but do it. Take that chance again to do it, and then you will see, maybe another great opportunity will open for you, in terms of another product, another market, a tweak to your product. There is a lot of things that like Sebastian said, it's a matter of vision and open your mind to the opportunity of do something that the rest are not going to do. Probably it is very much likely that you're part of the 20% of the people that are doers and not thinkers. So analysis create paralysis. I think go for it and just give it a try. You're going to lose more if you don't do it than if you do it. That's for sure.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic advice. It's absolutely amazing advice there, Susanna. Thank you so much. And Sebastian.
Ladies, thanks for all the input. Mike, the same for you, of course. It was really, really nice. It was really, really good. And I think as a summary, I'll literally stick to my three things. If you're searching in China or anywhere outside, try to find as many proposals as possible to get the lowest prices. Do the quality control and bring patience and just believe in it. It will work. Like you say, if you put your mind out there, you will set yourself for going. There's right now walking one of the biggest entrepreneurs past me. He's going down the stairs. He doesn't even give me a look. No, he doesn't. But those people out there are the real doers. Put yourself out there, get out of the comfort zone, do it, and it will work. What should stop you? Come on, all of you, you're entrepreneurs. You're strong. You're great. You're fired up. I think you can see this for myself as well, a little bit. Believe in it, and it will just work. And if not, fail and fail faster.
Love the advice. Thank you so much, Sebastian, and thank you, obviously, Megla and also Susanna, and thank you for joining us today. It's been absolutely wonderful. So, yes, I think my concluding thoughts are, you guys have given us so much fantastic information to think about, and some really great top tips. We will be obviously putting a summary together, so that'll be available on avastgroup.com, and anybody who's seeing this video should be able to also see that summary in the near future. So I'd just like to, all that remains for me to do is just to like to thank every single one of you for joining us, and thank you so much to Megla, to Susanna, and to Sebastian for all of your support and for coming along today and being my first guests on the relaunch of the Global Expanders. So thank you, guys.
Thanks to you, Mike.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
Go Expanders!
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yay!
You're the first Global Expanders of 2023.
Super proud. Thank you for the chance.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back not next week, but the week after for our next episode. And aside from that, I wish all of you a very fantastic day or evening or morning, depending on where you are, of course, in the world. So thank you very much from me. My name is Mike. I'm the head of partnerships at Avask. If you do need any assistance with any form of VAT taxes or any help with expanding your businesses cross-border, we can, of course, help and assist in any way you need. Do contact us at www.advancedgroup.com or email us at inquiries@advancedgroup.com. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day. Cheers.
Bye.
Take care.